In recent NFL news, did you see what the LA Rams changed their logo to?
No, I did not.
Here, let me LA Rams. I'm serious. 100% serious. It's yellow now.
Instead of like white LA letters with a yellow ram's horn, it's all yellow.
It's yellow now. Why?
I don't know.
As a person who was interested in graphic design, this sucks.
For the win! Bogdanovich! The open shot. Who gets the play? Are you? Goes for Bonga.
Hello and welcome back to the Eastman Sport Report, your father's son, coach player podcast about the Sacramento Kings and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, Max Easton, joined once again by my co-host, Steven Eastman.
Hello, Max. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good, honestly.
Okay.
Like it's I'm getting sort of to the end of my collegiate career in sports.
High school. I wouldn't say collegiate.
Yeah, my last
Interscholastic?
my last guaranteed volleyball game is tomorrow. It's senior night, and then we just have to hope that we make playoffs. And then I don't know if we're gonna how far we're gonna get into playoffs, even if you do. But my last guaranteed game is tomorrow, which is a weird feeling.
Yeah, how do you feel going into your possibly last ever high school game?
Well, we're also playing the worst team in the league, so
you're
we're gonna crush them.
Yeah,
but that's
which is fun. Mm-hmm. If anybody from that school is here, sorry.
Womp womp.
Anyway.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah, well, anyway. I don't know if they've won a game this season, but I don't really care about that. Anyway, it is interesting and kind of I want to say bitter, bittersweet that you're at the end of your high school sports. As the father-son coach player, the player is almost done. Mm-hmm. So, interesting.
Maybe I'll be a coach someday.
Maybe.
Okay, well, getting into this.
Okay.
I'm kind of glad that we waited a little bit for our pre-draft podcast thing where we do our big, giant 49ers pre-draft thing. I'm going to cram to get this out in Thursday morning, the hours before the draft, so people can watch and see our opinions and see if we're right or wrong. But also, I'm kind of glad that we waited a little bit, not so much like the exact day, but I'm glad that we waited so we can talk that Trent Williams signed it. So we can talk about that Trent Williams signed an extension.
Yes, he signed for 2 years. $50 million is the contract. It's $37 million guaranteed over 2 years. Mm-hmm. And you kind of knew this was going to happen. Like, you knew that Trent Williams was going to get a contract extension, and the Niners needed this to lower his salary cap hit for the year. So it actually lowers their salary cap hit this year, so that technically, if you can do whatever you want to with Brandon Ayuk, which the thing is, like, if you release him, they're probably going to release him as after June 1st designation, or if you trade him, you actually have to wait to June 1st to do the trade.
Yes.
So I think if the Niners are going to trade Brandon Ayuk, they are going to wait till June 1st to do the trade. Although the other part is they're going to hold on to him as long as possible, because there's no reason to trade him early.
Yeah.
You're just helping the other next team get a longer, unless you get something good for him. I totally see that this, and then this would be totally interesting. If the Niners haven't done anything with Brandon Ayuk, and technically he's still on the team, training camp starts, he's still on the team. They don't have to pay him until week 1. Okay. But if he doesn't show up, they can put him on the does not show up, and he just sits on the Niners, and he can't go play on anybody else's team until somebody says, okay, I'll give you something for him. If he actually shows up, he forces the Niners to pay him, or trade him. But if he doesn't show up, the Niners have a whole control over him. So that'll be an interesting situation.
I don't know if I've explicitly said this before, but it just sort of makes sense, especially what day we're on. Brandon Ayuk is not going to be traded before the draft. I don't even think during the draft. I think it's going to be sometime in like maybe early June, late May that he gets traded. Even if he
I say June 1st. I think they're waiting until June 1st.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to see the conclusion to the Brandon Ayuk saga for like at least another couple months. But that just means we got time to talk about the rookies and talk about the training camp.
Yep.
So I know you have how many pages of notes for 49ers draft?
Only
stuff?
6.
Only
So
6.
Only 6 pages.
Only 6. I want to know how many pages I have? I don't.
Okay, so I'm sorry this will be a lot of the coach speak as we get to the draft spot.
I'm going to try to stay more engaged than I did with the 53-man roster because I've shown some of my friends just like I'm interested. I'm talking with him, and then he just skipped to halfway through the video. I'm like,
he hasn't talked in like 10 minutes, and I just go on a 10-minute rant.
so I'm going to try to be more like engaged.
Okay. Because in the 53, I remember this was a funny moment. In the 53-man roster thing that I go through.
I said, I don't care who the third string tight end is.
And who caught the winning touchdown in week 1? The third string tight end.
We've been doing this for 4 months, Dad.
I know. And I keep bringing that up.
Like, it's 5 months even?
Yeah.
I get that I was wrong.
Okay. I just like to point that out. Okay. So before we get into the draft stuff, it's almost Draftmas. So when we put this thing out, it will be Draftmas Day. For those of you who call it that.
Draftmas Day?
Yeah, it's like Christmas, but it's Draftmas. It's like Christmas for NFL draft fans.
I guess.
Draftmas. Not David Lombardi. He's one of the Niners beat writers. John Lynch. Sorry, my mind I'm reading my screen and nope, I have to, what it actually is thinking. John Lynch had a press conference the other day and he went through a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to go through those list of bullet items that he covered and then we'll get into the draft stuff. So if you want to listen to the draft stuff, skip forward a few minutes. I will
the
try
time will be on the screen or in the chapters. You can select there. But
I'll try not to spend too much time on this because we want to get to the draft stuff and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the whole thing. Okay, moving on here. He talked about Trent Williams. He did talk about the Brandon Ayuk thing, which we already discussed. I didn't bring that up. He does say he's actually been in contact with multiple teams on a Brandon Ayuk trade. So, but he doesn't expect to have a trade this week. That's
big surprise.
The only thing I didn't say there. Okay. 49ers believe that edge, offensive line, and wide receiver are the deepest parts of the draft. Wow. What are the 3 needs that the Niners might have?
Edge, wide receiver, and offensive line. And also secondary, but that's like different.
So
I don't think you can solve that in this draft.
Is that a hint? I take that as a huge hint as to what are the Niners going to focus on. So when you go to, now offensive line, we'll get into this in a little bit. He lists offensive line. I think specifically it's left guard. If you look at the way the Niners have with the starting lineup, they have a Trent Williams. He's locked in for 2 years. You have Jake Brendel as your center. Nah, he's not. He's a middle-of-the-road center. Okay, fine.
But he's not bad.
He's not bad. He's not awesome. I would love an upgrade, but we didn't get one this year. Okay, but he's probably there for at least a year or two or more. You have Dominic Pooney. He's going into his 3rd year out of a 4-year contract. He's really good. You know, I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him in 2 years. And then you got Colton McKivitz, who they paid a big contract to, I think it was last year. So he's there with the team for quite a few years. Okay. Left guard is the open spot. They signed Robert Jones from Miami as a free agent this offseason. They still have Connor Colby, who they drafted last year. I think he was a 6th or 7th round pick. So he started a few games because they were out of people. And I think there's some Max Euler. There was somebody else they bring in. So there's a couple people they have in competition. But that left guard spot is completely open, and that was one of the things that he said was that John Lynch said is left guard is an open spot. So we'll get into this in a little bit, but when I'll talk about draft stuff, I do not expect the Niners to take an offensive tackle in the 1st round. So all of the draft people that are national media, and we'll go through a little bit, that show who the Niners are going to pick for the 1st round, when they pick offensive tackle, they don't know what the Niners need. And they are not paying attention to the Niners. These are national writers that have to take care of 32 teams. I get it. I only focus on one, so I know what my one team needs. If you were to ask me what pick the team Pittsburgh Steelers need, Actually, I probably know that one. Carolina Panthers. I have no idea what the Carolina Panthers need. I would be horrible at drafting for the Carolina Panthers. But anyway, okay. Next bullet item on John Lynch's list.
In the newest ESPN mock draft by who is this by? Let me scroll back up. Matt Miller.
Okay.
He says that we are going to be drafting with pick 27, safety from Toledo, Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
It's actually a dark horse in my list. We'll get to. I have like a top 5 list when we get to the draft if I think the Niners are going to pick. Okay. Niners have given out slightly fewer draft first round grades in their. So the Niners have a who do we want to draft list. Even though there's 257 picks, they only have 200 draftable players. Now that doesn't mean they're going to run out of people to pick in the 7th round. It's just that like. If Max is building a team and I'm building a team
and I need a quarterback and you don't need a quarterback,
I'm not going to have quarterbacks on my list. So, there's going to be less people or people that he likes and I don't like, and it's going to be a totally different list. So the Niners having 200 draftable players is not a bad thing, but they do say there's fewer first-round picks. Now, last year they had 20 first-round grades. They said fewer. Does that mean 18, 19, or does that mean like 10 or 12? He would not specifically say. He did say, so if you're reading again the tea leaves of what he's saying, another question that he came up was, hey, actually this is a lot of things here. Lynch says there's going to be a lot of trade movement at this year's draft.
Okay.
I don't think the Niners want to trade up.
But why would we want to trade up?
That's a good question. That's exactly right. And you read this where he only says there's less than 20. We're picking 27. That are first-round picks, so I do not expect the Niners to trade up. If anything, I think the Niners might take the 27th pick, which by the time I'd have to calculate it, it'll probably be after your volleyball game tomorrow. So the draft, your game starts at 6. I think the draft starts at 5. It's 8 minutes a pick. So the Niners wouldn't get to their pick until about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So it should be after your game. We can hope maybe you get home unless we go out to eat afterwards.
We might be going out to eat.
Yeah, because it's the last game, senior night, those types of things. Anyway, Niners won't be picking until after your thing. And I'm expecting they might trade down into the top, like the top of the second round. Might be something they do. Anyway, so Lynch says they expect a lot of trade movement. I expect the Niners want to trade down. But I also believe a lot of other GMs want to trade down. So that means not everybody can. Anyway, okay. Lynch doesn't believe there's any glaring holes in their roster, so they can just don't have to reach for players. They can do best player available. If I'm a GM of a team, and you know that every other team listens to these press conferences, why would you go out and say, our biggest need is an edge rusher when you're at pick 27? Now, if you're at pick 2, you could go out and say, hey, yeah, we're kind of looking for these kind of players. Yeah. Maybe, they were 11 last year. So you can kind of come out. When you're pick 27, there's no way you're saying. So this is like it's a note that he said, but it's also like, he's not going to tell you. It's also like that's just GM speak. I'm not going to tell you. Lynch does not rule out signing vets like Joey Bosa. Okay. He even congratulated Joey Bosa and said, hey, he got married last week and congratulations getting married. So he is 100% tracking Joey Bosa. He is 100% watching Joey Bosa. And if the Niners do not draft an edge, look to them to sign Joey Bosa after the draft.
I think that they're waiting for Joey Bosa to go, so do you want the cheap contract? Or do you want to not be on the Niners? Is how I think the John Lynch is going right now.
And I think Joey Bosa, from his perspective, is well. Let's just say when you get to my list, if the Niners, they have, I think there's going to be 2 edge rushers that they want to pick in the first round. What happens if you pick 27? Then neither one of them are there. Okay, you get to the second round, and the ones that you want to pick in the second round, they're all gone. So you have to pick another position. So you don't get a high quality edge rusher. Now the Niners might go to Joey Bosa. Yeah, you want like 12. We were offering 6. Would you take 10? Now I think it's the Niners might have to up their price for Joey Bosa because they have the need.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. This was an interesting question. I know you're going to love this one. A reporter said, hey, how do the Niners use AI?
In what way? Are you using ChatGPT? Because if so, ChatGPT is not designed to make draft picks.
Okay. But what did he say? He says, just like the rest of the world, if you aren't using it, you're already behind. As in me in a technology field, I'm actually developing a thing that's not going to be public. But for our NDA customers, we're going to develop an AI model. So it's not going to be public. Anyway, AI model for a specific thing. That's all I'm going to say on this podcast. Okay.
So do the Niners have their own AI thing that's helping them out is my question? Or are
And
they
he-
just like, hey, ChatGPT,
No,
who are your players?
I 100% think. Now, the other thing he said is we are in Silicon Valley. We take advantage of it as we can.
That makes sense.
As in, if you are working in Silicon Valley, you're probably a Niners fan. What if the Niners were to call you and you were an AI expert, and the Niners said, hey, could you help us with making an AI thing? Would you give them a discount or even like, oh, hey, that sounds like fun. Maybe I'll do it on the side. Maybe it might charge you a little bit. But like, if you're a Niners fan and you work in Silicon Valley, he's like, we take advantage of that. So yes, I 100%, they are not using chat. He did not say that. I 100% agree they are not using that, but there's many different forms of AI, and it's all about what data you feed it, whether you get good data or bad data out. 100% know that. Okay, if you don't feed it good data, it doesn't know what it's talking about. But they are using it. Okay. Lynch, a reporter asked him, hey, would you pick a defensive lineman? And Lynch emphasized, hey, and he went through like a 2-minute rant. So I'm going to try to summarize it of saying it wasn't a rant, it was a explanation. And so when you start reading between the lines,
media trained.
he's media trained. He was in the media for a while. You remember he was a broadcaster
Yes.
for a while after his playing career. He basically says, well, if you remember when we were first here, defensive line was one of our things we wanted to go after, and we had to really have a strong defensive line. And our pass rush wasn't really good last year, so it's always a focus for us. So if you read between the lines, they are 100% looking for defensive line and edge rusher in the first round. Hence back to the 5 players I think they'll pick. Okay.
I thought you were going to say, and if we circle back, maybe?
Yeah, no, a big deal. Okay. This is an interesting one too. NFL drafting in the NIL era. Okay, so let me go up to another quote, the quote that I have here. One GM said, this is not a great year to have a top 10 pick. Another front office called from the first half of the first round said the first half of the round 1 is uninspiring, saying they are good players but not a lot of star players. Other executives believe that one of the strong suits of the class might be in the 3rd and the 4th rounds. Niners have 4 picks in the 4th round. Continuing on the quote, where many of those good players and opportunities await. If you read other people, they say this draft drops off significantly after the 4th round. Hence, the Niners don't have a draft pick in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round. Okay, now you circle back to the quote from John Lynch about the NFL draft in the NIL era, and you see his quote was saying, you're seeing a lot more 25-year-old rookies. Lynch repeated how beneficial it was for the Niners to get Mikael Williams at age 21 last year, and he doesn't have as much wear and tear on his things. Have you heard about the 25-year-old 6-year quarterbacks that are suing, going to court to keep their eligibility?
Yes.
One of them got win, and I think the other 2 did not get their wins. I don't need to go through the names. Don't really care. The other part about NIL, you're also learning that when NFL rookies come in, they make less money as an NFL rookie than they did as an NIL player. And in the NIL era, the college players have to, or college teams have to recruit, not just via money, it's facilities. So you actually get the rookies, NFL rookies are coming to NFL teams and pro teams. They make less money. They're learning the facilities were nicer in college, and they had more training staff people. Like they had a lot more one-on-one attention in that. Hence, another thing, what did the Niners do this offseason? They invested more into their training staff. They hired 3 more full-time players, training people, because that was what they got a bad grade. They're upgrading cooled hot tubs and warm tubs in their facilities. So they're upgrading their facilities because when college players come in, they're like, you guys aren't as good as what I just came from. Interesting. So, yeah.
Something I wanted to say about your thing that you said about how there's really good talent that some of the best talent could be coming in like the third and fourth rounds. And it was that George Kittle was drafted in the 5th round of the 2017 draft with the 146th overall pick, and Fred Warner was drafted in the I think third round.
Third round, yeah.
With the 70th overall pick in the 2018 draft. So the Niners have sort of, I would say, consistently been able to find diamond in the roughs, I guess you could
Yeah, or stars in late, not first rounds. Yeah.
Of like George Kittle, best tight end in the league. Fred Warner, best linebacker in the league. We're consistent. John Lynch and his recruits are consistently being able to find really, really good talents.
Brock Purdy, a 7th round pick.
Yes, Brock Purdy, 7th round. Farther in the draft.
Juan Jennings was a 7th round pick.
And it's like, so I'm more hopeful for, in my opinion, the Niners later round picks, because I feel like we're, for some reason, better at finding good players in the later rounds than we are at finding hits in the first round. Like, if you ignore Nick Bosa, who was the 2nd overall pick, and he was the consensus best player in that year's draft, you have Mykel Williams as a standout, I guess you could say, and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Otherwise...
I mean, Ricky Pearsall was a 1st round pick, but he's been injured, but he's been good. But you've had a lot of misses in the 1st round. They've actually have misses. They do better, actually, in these middle rounds. That's where I'm going back to my other thing is I do think
Trey Lance.
I do think the Niners are going to want to trade out of the 1st round and pick up more picks. Like, if you can trade your 1st round pick and get a 2nd and a 3rd, like, I think the Niners would like that more than picking the 1st round pick. But you have to find somebody who's offering that for you. Okay. I need to keep moving on here because we're doing draft stuff. Okay. The last stuff here on my list for John Lynch's press conference, he talked about Raheem Morris being so it's their defensive coordinator. If you don't know, a new defensive coordinator, he's a bundle of energy. He's curious. He's insightful. And he says there's guys who drain a room. And then there's guys who bring energy to the room. Morris is a guy who brings energy to the room, so they like him. I also want to know how many pool parties are the Niners going to have this year.
Oh, you talked to me about this.
He said there's a quote where Raheem Morris has said, if we draft this defensive player, I'm throwing a pool party. Oh, sorry, I'm getting excited and hit my mic. He's going to throw a pool party. So I want to have the press people when they say, hey, when they go after a pick, was he a pool player? Was he a pool player? Pool party player? I want to know. I want to know who's a pool party player. Okay. Lynch was asking about the 2025 draft class. As they do plays, we're going to look back, and it was a good draft year. But he also feels there's a lot more that they have to accomplish. Even though they were good in their rookie seasons, you need to continue their development.
No way. Shocker.
I know, big shocker. 49ers new defensive tackle, Osi Odigizua. He actually did not know how to say his last name. I hope I'm saying it right. He only says Osa, and I'm going to not say his last name so I don't murder it. It's kind of funny that even the John Lynch, the GM, did not want to say Odigizua's last name. But he is going to say he's going to impact us in all facets of the game.
Yes.
And Lynch joked, this is an interesting one, safety is always a premium position. That may be a little personal for me. For those of you who don't know, John Lynch was a safety when he was a player. Okay, there's my notes for pre-draft press conference. Any other questions, comments about that?
No, I do not.
Okay, here we go. Okay, draft prep time. We need what's the music they have for the ESPN? We didn't download that, did we? You know,
the ESPN draft thing?
Yeah, you get the notification noise when it says...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
When the draft pick comes in. I wish we had that.
Wait, we could try...
Okay, here we are for your Niners first round draft picks. My dream pick for the Niners is tight end Kenyon Sadiq.
Will he be available?
Probably not.
Definitely not.
Definitely. I think it's like a 99% chance he will not be available. But can you imagine George Kittle and Kenyon Sadiq at the exact same team? He's a super fast, good tight end. He's probably going around pick 15 to 17 is where he normally gets mocked to. I do not expect him to be here, but occasionally you'll see a mock draft as he falls. If he falls, that's my dream pick for the Niners. So other media players say it's the draft crush. That is my dream pick. I don't think he's going to be available. Okay. I have 5 players I think are a little more realistic.
Okay. Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, totally. Because Brock Purdy's not good enough. You need a backup quarterback as
Just
good
in
as.
case. You can trade Mac Jones then.
Yeah, you don't need Mac Jones. You can trade him and get Fernando Mendoza on the back. Yeah, he's totally going to be available at 27. No one's going to pick him.
Yep.
No one's picking him.
Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, because Chris McCaffrey's getting old, so we need a backup for him.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, 2 positions that I think the Niners are going to go after: edge and wide receiver.
Shocker.
If you look at the Niners draft history, I probably should have that up. Who have the Niners picked in the first round most often? Edge and wide receiver. Wow. Nick
Can we
Bosa.
please hit on one?
Yeah.
Please?
Nick Bosa, Mikael Williams, edge rushers. The first ever draft pick for
John Lynch.
John Lynch was Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle. Wow. They like the draft.
Brandon Ayuk. Ricky Pearsall. Jacob Cowing.
Jacob Cowing was not a first round pick, but he was like a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Jacob Cowing.
There was one that was a first round pick that was a complete bust.
I know. He was supposed to be a fast guy. I'm trying to remember.
It was around.
Danny Gray.
Oh, that's right. Is he a 2nd or 3rd round?
3rd round.
3rd rounder. That's the guy that we didn't do anything with. Okay, so the Niners' first round draft picks within the John Lynch era. You had Solomon Thomas, defensive lineman. Reuben Foster, linebacker. Okay, remember that one. Mike Lynchy, tackle. 2019, Nick Bosa. In 2020, Javon Kinlaw. Forgot about him, defensive tackle. And Brandon Ayuk. Hey, lineman and wide receiver. What do I think they're picking? The next one was Trey Lance. Yeah, I know that one. Ricky Pearsall, and then Mikael Williams. Wow. How many times have the Niners picked a wide receiver in the first round? Well, they've gotten twice, but then if you add in like second rounders, there's a couple more because you got Deebo Samuel and a few others. And then you have defensive linemen. That's like 4 out of the about 10-ish, about half of the list is defensive linemen that the Niners have. Okay, so again, who do I think the Niners going to pick in the first round if they don't trade out? Edge or wide receiver? Again, the Niners only had 20 sacks last year, the worst in the league. Okay, so my 2 draft picks I would go for in the first round, starting my top 5, Malachi Lawrence, edge, University of Central Florida. He's a bendy speed rusher. Quick acceleration out of the starting blocks. The speed carries us through his rush plans. This is me putting together a few quotes from people. 49ers love fast pass rushers opposite of Nick Bosa, as in back in 2019 when they had the best pass rushers. That was D Ford. This is a long, bendy, tall guy. And if I was actually to list out of all of these 5 players, if all of them are available, I actually think Malachi Lawrence might be the pick. Okay, second one, Cassius Howell, edge, Texas A&M. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Cassius Howell are the 2 edge players. There is other edge players that are kind of get first-round grades from people, but they're all bigger in kind of the Mikael Williams type of thing. So the Niners already have Bosa and Mikael Williams and other people to do run. They do not have specialized, especially after Brandon Huff retired. They need speed edge rushers for pass rushing. That's what Malachi Lawrence and Cassius Howell are. The downside for Cassius Howell, everybody's been saying this, he has short arms. But he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Had 11 sacks last year in college. Okay, wide receiver.
11 sacks?
Yeah, 11 sacks in college. That's pretty good, huh?
Pretty good for short arms.
Yeah, pretty good for short arms guy.
I don't think the arms factor matters then.
Yeah. So that's why he's still probably a first-round grade. Okay. Wide receiver. There's 3 wide receivers that I think the Niners are considering. All 3 of them had a 30 visit, so they actually visited the Niners headquarters. So the Niners did actually bring all these players in. Casey Concepcion, wide receiver from Texas A&M. He is small and fast. He's been described as he just gets open. He's so fast. He's quick. Kyle loves wide receivers that just get open. That's Kyle Shannon's biggest thing is you want to be able to beat man. Here he goes. Now, the one thing is he's not as big, so how can he go to do pass blocking? Because Kyle Shannon's not going to let you on the field unless you can pass block for running. So can he learn that? But he gets open and he is fast. Most of the time he's actually been drafted in mock drafts. He's like in the late teens to early 20s. Don't know if he's going to be available. Okay. But he's on the Niners radar. Omar Cooper, wide receiver from Indiana. Okay. National champion, Indiana. Caught him for Fernando Mendoza. He had a great touchdown. Was it either in the championship game or was it the game-winning touchdown?
Penn State?
It was against Penn State.
Yeah.
Was it the semifinal or the championship game? He got a game-winning touchdown toward the end of one of those games. So he's pretty good. And I think he actually got both feet down when you watch the plays. Like he's like leaning out of bounds.
Penn State one, he only got 1 foot. That's one I was thinking of.
Yeah, but it was really close to getting the second one down. Anyway, he is in the mold of Great Yak. In the mold of Debo / Ayuk. He's a little bit of Debo and a little bit of Ayuk. As an Ayuk, he can get open because he gets it out of his cuts fast. He's fast enough. He has a great yak, as in he's in the mold of Debo. He great run after catch. He can do lots. He lines up all over the field from slot to wide. He can do swing passes from the backfield. So great, all-purpose weapon. And because you already have Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall and Christian Kirk, he'd be a good fourth option to kind of bring in as that kind of, he could line up anywhere. So he'd be a good option there.
Yeah.
Okay. Denzel Boston from wide receiver from Washington. Big physical wide receiver, strong hands, large catch radius. He's in the mold of Mike Evans. Who better for you to go learn from than the real Mike Evans? He's like
pretty good mentor.
Yeah, 6'4". And Mike Evans, technically, even though he signed like a 3-year contract, it's only guaranteed for like 1 year. So if Mike Evans is some reason degrading and Denzel Boston's that good, you could let Mike Evans go after his 1 year of tutelage, and Denzel Boston becomes your star. So all of those are my top 5 players that I think the Niners could draft.
For reference, for Denzel, is it Boston? Denzel Boston is 6'4", and Mike Evans is 6'5".
Yeah, so he's pretty close. Okay, I wanted to jump over to, so if you go to the Niners.com, they have a mock draft roundup. So if you look at who the national people or other people are saying that the Niners are going to pick, let's go through their list. NFL.com from Chad Reuter, Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle from Utah. NFL.com, Adam Ranker, Akeem Mesador, edge Miami. I didn't mention any of these players. Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle Utah. That's NFL.com. Sorry, Mike Band. Another NFL.com, Eric Edholm, Caleb Lomu. NFL.com players, the Niners aren't picking on offensive tackle. Okay, hopefully I'm right on that one. We'll find out in 24 hours. ESPN's Jordan Reed, Malachi Lawrence. Ooh, hey, somebody's actually paying attention.
Just a little.
ESPN's Mel Kiper, probably the most famous of all the mock drafters. Max Illenshore, offensive tackle.
And in the blurb they have right here, they're talking about Trent Williams, which we just re-signed. So,
and you're going to sign him for 2 years. Okay, so think about this. You're the Niners. You're in a win now mode. Why are you going to pick a player in the first round that's going to sit for 2 years?
This was uploaded. I'm assuming either. I think the 2 days, if not the day before, we re-signed
Trent Williams.
This web article was posted.
Okay. Another one's from CBS Sports. Jonathan Jones, Mac Illenshore, offensive tackle. CBS Sports, Mike Renner, Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, Utah. CBS Sports, Bryant McFadden, Keldrick Falk, edge from Auburn. CBS Sports, Carter Bonds, Kedrick Falk, edge, Auburn. CBS Sports, this is Fox Sports, Joel Klatt, Caleb Lomu. Fox Sports, Jeffrey Schwartz, Caleb Lomu. Who's DAZN, Jason Abbey, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. A little bit different. Safety, Toledo. I actually think he's a dark horse. I don't think the Niners would pick him in the first round, but if the Niners don't pick the top 5 and they can't trade down and all 5 of my players are gone, this would be like my sort of like 6-ish player that I could see the Niners drafting if they had to pick somebody in the first round and their top 5 that I have for them are all gone. Is that safety?
Oh, hey, and that's what that Emmanuel McNeil Warren is the same guy that was predicted in today's mock draft by ESPN.
Yeah.
By Mike Miller?
Yeah.
I think it was. So what you're saying is that national media people have to spread themselves thin?
I know, and cover all 32 teams. So when you look at all these players, I do agree mock drafts give you a good feel of where a player is going to get picked, and there's a little bit of good to them, but they're not going to be that accurate. I like looking at the local guys and the local people to like David Lombardi. Malachi Lawrence was his first pick. His second option is Omar Cooper. Okay. When you talk to Matt Barrows, he actually had a very interesting article. We probably don't have time to cover his whole article, but he actually had 6 draft scenarios where he said, here's scenario A, B, C, D, E, F, 6 scenarios. And if you take the Niners' first 3 picks, and how are they going to fill edge, wide receiver, and offensive tackle, or some sort of offensive lineman player? He went through a whole bunch of options. His first round options are kind of read my top 5. Cassius Howell, Denzel Boston. He actually pulls in a Black Miller, Casey Concepcion, Caleb Loma, and Omar Cooper. The other thing I want to say is if you go back to that, and again, that kind of the national media people, the people that are actually picking like Akeem Mesidor and what's the other? Keldrick Falk. Okay. They're edge players. So these guys are actually getting the memo. Hey, the Niners might actually, they like edge linemen, and they like, edge players. Okay, so these players are good players. There's nothing wrong with these players. They're good players. But Keldrick Falk and, what was the other guy's name? Sorry, Keldrick Falk and Akeem Mesidor. They are more bigger defensive ends. They're more like we just drafted Mikael Williams, so we don't need another player like Mikael Williams to set the edge under run defense. We need speed pass rushers, which is why I picked the 2 that I did. Anyway, that's my in-depth analysis on the first round. Second round, I'm not as good with because there's so many players there. Some names that I think the Niners might like from an edge player is, I hope I say his name right, Kenyon, Keyron, Crawford from Auburn. He kind of fits that speed one. Wide receivers are Jermaine Bernard, Chris Bell, or I've seen some internet people like Ted Hurst. He's a 6'3". He's got a 3rd-round grade from a small school, smaller, Georgia State, not Georgia type of thing. But Chris Bell is another good one. So this is where I think if I was the Niners, again, their first pick I would like to see them pick, and I think they would tick if all 5 of them are available, is Malachi Lawrence is their top pick, and then you get a wide receiver in the 2nd round because there's more available there. So that's, I could go through some other stuff.
How about we do this?
Okay.
I have up here, so I can screen record what we're going to do. So I'm going to start doing this, and we're going to go through a mock draft.
Okay.
We're using fanspeak.com right now. We're both going to have it up, and you're just going to I just want you to basically tell me who you think you want to draft because you're way more knowledgeable on this.
Okay.
So it's going as we speak right now. All these players are being drafted, and then I'm going to basically just tell you who's like left.
Okay.
How is Jeremiah Love still available? Hey, so Jeremiah Love is still available at pick 27.
Did you actually start the draft? Because mine.
I just started mine. I hit start round 1.
Okay.
I know it's different for each person, but I'm just.
Okay, because I have it started, and it says that my number 1 recommended likely considering for. Oh, first off, there's an incoming trade offer from the Seattle Seahawks.
I turned that off.
So this is interesting. Now, I think look at this. Would the Niners take pick number 27 and turn it into pick 32 of round 1? So you're still in round 1, but you move back 5 picks, and then you get a pick 32 in the 3rd round and pick 7 in the 6th round. So you get 3 picks for 1. I'd actually might take it.
You would probably take that. I don't have that on my options.
So I'm gonna hit decline for right now.
Okay. So looking at this board, I'm gonna read you the edge players who are still available.
Okay.
There is Cassius Howell. I'm hoping I'm saying these names right. Zion Young, Mason Thomas, Malachi Lawrence is still available.
Yeah.
And then Gabe Jacques is also still available. Okay. And then let me look at the wide receivers as well. There's Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., Chris Braswell, Chris Bell, and then Zachariah Branch.
Okay, so that means Boston's already taken. So out of my top 5, Boston's the only one that's gone. And can we look back to see where he was drafted? Will they show that?
I am currently trying to check. Unless he wasn't, and this thing is... Oh, he was picked just before us by the Bills at pick 26.
Okay, so I did the same... I'm on the same website, but mine says Denzel Boston was picked at 19 by the... this says Jeremiah Love, the running back, was picked 18 by the Vikings. Okay, this is Ty Simpson. The QB was drafted by the Browns at 24.
I also have that.
Okay.
Okay, but in your opinion, if you're pick 27, you have basically all your top choices still available, except for Denzel Boston, who was just picked before you.
Okay.
But who would you pick in this
I'm going to
scenario?
go with Malachi Lawrence.
Malachi Lawrence. Okay, let me click draft, and now it's going.
Okay, so we get to the second round.
We're getting in the second round. You just want me to hit start, or I don't?
Yeah, start round 2. Okay.
Let me see. So Jeremiah Love was picked by the Texans. I don't. And then Omar Cooper is what is ranked here as the current best available wide receiver. So we'll see if he stays there as we keep going. And we're going.
Okay, so
we're still going. We're still going. And we're still going. And how far down are the Niners in this?
58, I think.
58. We're going. And at 58, Omar Cooper Jr. is still available.
Omar Cooper is still available?
And according to this, Omar Cooper is still available.
Well, I would definitely take him.
Let me just and then let me just look at edge. Who is one of the other names that you would say you're looking for, like in general?
Romello Height is another one I've seen linked to the Niners.
Yeah, he's right there. Okay. Ranked 75. Omar Cooper is ranked 34. It is currently pick 38.
At 58, he's still available?
Yes.
For yours, I would take that. Now, mine, we're doing the exact same website. He is not available. I'm going to take Jermaine. Is it Jeremy or Jermaine? Starts with a G, G-E-R, Jeremy or something like that. I'm going to pick him, Bernard, wide receiver of Alabama. I'm going to draft him. Okay.
So my selected players are. This looks like best case scenario for me. I just got all the luck in the world. I got Malachi Lawrence and Omar Cooper Jr.
Wow. That would be amazing if the Niners could get him in the second
So
round.
my thought is, if the Seahawks were to offer that trade of the 1 pick for 3 picks, right?
Yeah, you could totally move down.
You could totally move down and probably pick Malachi Lawrence and Omar Cooper. But
yeah.
I just got lucky. So,
yes, you got lucky.
And then let me turn this off. Boop. Okay. So that is our mock draft that we have. I got Malachi Lawrence and Omar Cooper Jr. in the first 2 rounds, and you got
Malachi Lawrence and Jeremy Bernard.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else we have on the agenda for today?
Any other notes that I want to cover? I do have more notes, but do I really want to cover them all? Okay. If the Niners are to draft an offensive lineman, this is what I want to talk about. I do not expect them to pick a tackle. Now, they could pick one in the 4th round, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Yes. But I also think the Niners could pick an offensive lineman in the 2nd round based if you don't have a wide receiver you don't like and you've already picked an edge like we did in our scenario. I could see them picking a left guard or a guard to plug into that left guard hole. I think that is a thing. One name to look at there, Jennings Dunker. Pull up a picture of him just for the fun of it. Jennings starts with a G, G-E-N-N-I-G-S. Jennings Dunker of Iowa. I love his hair.
Oh, my. I'm going to have to put this up.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of that. Look at that guy's hair.
That combine photo
Yeah.
of it like flowing in the wind.
I know. Like he looks like he's in Iowa.
You know, he does look like he's from Iowa. That makes sense.
Yes. He was teammates at Connor Colby that you just drafted last year. He has size and muscle. He could be a good 2nd round guard if you're looking for that. So that's kind of my other one that I wanted to point out was that the Dunker. And he just has a good offensive lineman named Dunker, you know? Could be a basketball player, but you know what that name, but you know. Another name that I would throw out there is I think the Niners would be interested in. I would love to see them be able to get him in the 4th round, one of their 4 4th round picks. Tight end from Stanford. I do think the Niners will draft a tight end. I would like him to at least. Sam Roush from Stanford, tight end. Okay. Again, John Lynch is a Stanford alum. He's good at both blocking and blocking and receiving. So I think he'd be a really good tight end for the Niners to go after Sam Roush from Stanford. So he's kind of my little type thing there. Other thing to throw out here is Daniel Jeremiah is another really good mock draft person. He put out his final one, I think, today. He had the Niners drafting Denzel Boston, wide receiver. So another player that finally the national media are getting off the... And Denzel Jeremiah is a little bit more, in my opinion, knowledgeable for each team. that if you're picking an offensive tackle for the Niners, you're just doing this group thing, and everybody thinks that they need it because Trent Williams is old. And you're like, but he's going to be here for 2 more years. You don't draft a player that's going to sit in the first round, unless he's a QB, and you have to have him. You don't draft a player that's going to sit for 2 years. So if you draft a tackle, he has to be able to play guard for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I'm like, I think they much rather pick an edge or a wide receiver. Okay. Anything else we want to say in this draft?
I don't have anything else to say about this draft. I'm excited to see what the Niners do.
I'm very interested to see my 2 things. Are any of my 5 players that the Niners going to pick? I still want the Niners to pick one of my 5 players that I've highlighted. And if they pick a defensive player in the whole draft, is he a pool party player?
Okay. I think that's all that we're going to have today. So thank you so much for watching the Eastman Sport Report, and
see you later.
bye.
Bye.